if you don't get this Calabasas HOA ass beef out of here, man, it's so boring. It's the most like, who has the best lawn in the neighborhood type be like it's just so annoying. Like I wish it would just like it's clouded the release of both of these albums for me. Like it's just the most petty, annoying beef. And they're both annoying. Like normally, like during a beef, you can kind of like take you can kind of take a side or who you're rooting for. And like I'm not rooting for either of them because they're both just really annoying when it comes to how they're going about this. Like
Let me put you on game.
let's get into a story surrounding both of the two albums that we've covered in the last couple of weeks. And I just don't. I think we would be remiss to not mention the Drake versus the Kanye beef and dive into that. It's a long story between these two. I'm gonna try to cover it for those who aren't familiar. It basically started with the Pusha T beef and Drake intimating that Kanye was the one that gave Pusha the ammo, basically in that feud, and Kanye suggesting that he wasn't the one that did that. There were Kanye kind of caught some strays during some disses, and it's just kind of been this back and forth battle in terms of pettiness, uh, including recently Kanye posting Drake's address online, Drake firing back on social media with these like cryptic messages, and also firing back on the album. And for me, the most egregious part of the whole thing is the Andre 3000 aspect of it. But what are your I don't even want to say impressions, but what are your thoughts on their beef?
I think that their feud has ultimately just brought increased interest to their projects.
Mm.
And it has gotten nasty at times, but it really only serves as a tool to sell more records. And it's good for business. Controversy is good for business. The East Coast, West Coast rap beef was great for album sales. You had several albums going platinum, double platinum, gold, whatever, from any East Coast, West Coast rapper. Then you have the Jay-Z and Nas situation where it was contentious and they were going at each other, but they were also selling records like hotcakes. It was
Yeah.
impressive. And the same thing happened with Pusha T and Drake 3 years ago in 2018. That allowed Pusha's album to really make a lot of noise. And although and pretty much had Scorpion as another record-breaking album at the time in terms of albums and stream sales. So this is just more of that, and I think it's pretty convenient that it's happening around album release time. They both seem to try to get one over on one another. Kanye maybe hearing when Drake was planning to release his album, and Drake also seeing when Kanye's trying to release his album, and them trying to like time each other out because they also don't want to hurt each other's numbers or want the others released to hurt their numbers. So there's like a lot of posturing. But at the end of the day, both albums are doing ridiculous right now, and they're the most listened to albums at the moment right now. So it's just I feel like it's I don't know. I have a conspiratorial mindset to this. So I think it's much ado about nothing. It's two multimillionaires who are having beef, if you can call multimillionaires having beef, but whatever. It's fun to watch from the sidelines.
Yeah, man. Like if you don't get this Calabasas HOA ass beef out of here, man, it's so boring. It's the most like who has the best lawn in the neighborhood type be like it's so annoying. Like I wish it would just like it's clouded the release of both of these albums for me. Like it's just the most petty, annoying beef. And they're both annoying. Like normally, like during a beef, you can kind of like take you can kind of take a side or who you're rooting for. And like I'm not rooting for either of them because they're both just really annoying when it comes to how they're going about this. Like it just seems kind of pointless. It seems very petty, and it seems like it's just really getting in the way of us even potentially appreciating what they're both doing with their albums, because
Yeah.
now the albums are always going to be tied to each other. It's always going to be a discussion about Drake and Kanye, even though I don't necessarily want to have that discussion. And then they're also like pulling people into it that don't want to get pulled into it. Like the whole Andre 3000 thing was just, I thought it was disgusting, really, like on both ends. It's disgusting from Drake's end to release the song, especially considering the subject matter that Andre was addressing in terms of talking about his mother who's passed. Like that's just really petty and annoying, and it's really disrespectful to Andre. And then I think that Kanye is also really disrespectful to Andre in terms of him using a track that could have potentially been one of the best songs, if not the best song on Donda, based on Andre's verse in the production, to just talk about Drake and his group chat with Virgil. Like it's a waste of an Andre verse, and it's a waste of like Andre's integrity essentially
Hmm.
based by releasing that track. So it's just petty on both ends, and I just feel like it's just really unnecessary. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, bro. I totally feel you on that. And the beef has ties over the last decade, I feel. And I was reading an interesting article that was just chronicling everything. And it was just so petty. It's like ego and, oh, Drake is coming up and I'm insecure. So I'm gonna, put some different songs out there, and then I'm gonna give Drake this lift yourself off your beat song, and Drake is gonna make a song to it, but then I'm gonna release it and just say poopity scoop in an attempt to crush his spirit. And it's like, dog, you really don't have, they must not have anything better to do. And
I don't know. Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. And I think Kanye is kind of the manufacturer of a lot of his problems as well as a lot of his greatness, and that's the duality of the Gemini spirit that he embodies. But it's much ado about nothing, and again, it's fun to watch from the sidelines. I get a kick out of it. It makes their albums that much more interesting, and it just brings up more hype and helps to fuel the sales. So they're going to continue to have their petty little tiff, but as long as nobody's actually shooting anybody else, I can enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. Drake versus Meek Mill and Drake versus Pusha was so much better, man. it just was. Like, why are you posting that man's address? Like, what? That just sounds unsafe.
Yeah, he's doxing. Like, that's not cool.
It's unnecessary, man. Like,
yeah.
So let's close the show by, let's give the people what they want. Who do you think had the better album? Which album is better, Donda or CLB?
I mean, without hesitation, Donda. There's, CLB is fun, but I like when artists take chances. I like hearing something I've never heard before, and I've heard everything on Certified Lover Boy before. The things that I haven't heard on Donda before, and I got to give Kanye his due.
Yeah, I feel that. I think that it's close, just in terms of how bloated and flawed both albums are. But I think that Donda is better. I think the highs on Donda are higher than the highs on Certified Lover Boy. I don't think either album is trash, which I think you see a lot online, people talking about how this album is trash or this album is trash, especially if they're a fan of the other person. I think both albums are serviceable to good,
right?
To be honest, but yeah, that's where I sit with it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to not talking about these two for the rest of the year. I don't want to. All right, like after this podcast, like we can just like I like both of them. I think they're both great artists. I think they're both great at what they do. But the whole cycle between the two and the album rollouts and all this other stuff, like as a fan watching, it's been exhausting, man. So do better, guys. It's a lot, and your fans deserve better because you're both incredibly talented. But just go find a hobby, man.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments, bro. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, that'll do it.